The one big pivot we had to make was in 2018, 2019, when we realized the super app itself is not going to work. And so in the last year and a half, 2 years, we've been busy unbundling the super app, unbundling the 2, 3 pillars that we really believe will be big sort of pillars, unbundling them into different products. And the super app had 3 key things. We had social around stickers, we had games with something called Game of the Day, and we had content. And we decided not to unbundle content because we really believe that it's not a space that we believe we can have great impact on customers. And also, we're not a big fan of the business model of the content space. We think India is still 6, 7, 8, 10 years before a very strong ad business model gets built from local companies in the country. And so we're focusing on social and gaming, these 2 pillars. And the one thing that we realized, and that's always been the case in a market like India, is that there are a couple of big challenges. There are a few places to hang out offline because the infrastructure is so poor. The market is still pretty conservative. Social norms are catching up. There's lack of privacy in homes, so people can't really be themselves. So could we build something that solves these problems now that we have all this infrastructure of unlimited data, great smartphones, people spending more time online? Because people, instead of doing all this stuff offline, want to do this stuff online. And can we build something new, brand new user experiences that are possible now because we have so much advancements of technology? And we really believe there's an opportunity to build a magical and safe place to hang out online when you can't hang out offline. And that's the idea behind Hikeland. And we've been working backwards with the idea of Hikeland. Even though we announced Hikeland, the early preview in June, we've been working backwards with the idea since maybe June last year. You can't just plonk a virtual world. You have to build towards that one step at a time. And so the first one was the Hikemoji. We brought that to life. This is the virtual me. You can take a photo of myself and bring your avatar into the world. And the second is, what can your avatar do? And that was Hikeland. And the early response of Hikeland has been fantastic. The product, something we talked about before as well, is a very early preview. There's a home where you can hang out with your friends and do things you can't do in the offline world. And there's a big screen where you can meet like-minded people and make new friends online. And all of that is centered around the identity of your Hikemoji, which is meant to be the funnest, most expressive version of you. And we call it a virtual world because of the user experience. And a virtual world user experience is one that has a very different look and feel. It's not a bunch of tabs sitting at the bottom. It's literally a world taken offline and replicated online. And second is, a virtual world is not a single player experience, it's a multiplayer experience. You're always doing something with other people online. And we're trying to build a virtual world, which means that sky is the limit in what's possible. What are brand new ways that people can hang out online in ways they can't hang out offline? And fortunately in today's world as well, that idea is 10 times more important because people are sitting at home locked down, finding new ways to hang out with their friends and family.
How will Hike make money out of this? I mean, if you look at FY20 details are yet to be out, but if you look at the FY19 numbers, the revenues were on a decline. Losses.
We don't make any revenues, so we can't be in decline. The idea is Yeah, I think it's a great question, by the way, and a question that I love answering as well. And I think I'll bring this into 2 parts. The first 4 or 5 years of Hike, our mentality was, let's go get massive scale, and then we'll figure out the business model. And with the super app, we got 10.5, 11 million daily active users in a market that only had 55, 60 million users. We had a MAU of 25 million. And then we said, let's go figure out a business model. Let's go build a business model. And in 2017, we launched the payments platform. And we realized, wait, building a payments platform is not a way to make money. It's a way to throw money in the market. And the market also shifted. And we didn't have the chance to iterate on that and figure out a business model in the super app. But our mindset today is very, very different. Our mindset today is, can we get to a place where the company can become as self-sustaining as possible? Which means we're thinking about the business model far earlier, because we can do that because payments have become seamless. Back in 2016, 2015, 2014, payments were not seamless. So users could not transact and do microtransactions with an online platform. Today, that's completely changed. Users can transact with things online. And you can see today that some of the highest grossing apps in the Play Store are apps that actually are virtual goods. They're games, they're dating apps. The world has completely changed. So people have the money to pay. And if an online product is solving your problem better than an offline product, your money is going to shift from the right offline pocket to the online pocket. And so the way we imagine building up the virtual world is the virtual world is going to have a virtual economy as well. And the virtual economy is going to have things inside that are going to be premium that you can pay for, that are going to effectively give you superpowers. So you can do things that the ordinary users can't do on the platform. And this is a business model that's been proven time and time and again in China, in Japan, in the US recently with Fortnite as well, with Minecraft, with Roblox.
But how many of those users pay, and getting to pay Indians to pay for services has been a challenge, not just for a gaming platform, but for OTTs, music streaming, you name it. Getting customers to pay for services, yes, they're starting to pay. That habit is changing, even to pay for content as well. But then how easy it is, and that'll take a while.
Well, we're not in this for 6 months, right? We're in this to build a business long term. And if you want to cause change, then you have to have a long term mindset. Consumers are willing to pay as long as there's something of value. The big question is, are you building something of value or not? Content is a great example in India. Unfortunately, in India, content is not valued because all the data plans come with content free. So the mindset of Indians is, why should I pay for content? And piracy is rampant in this country, so you can download a movie very easily instead of paying for content. But we are seeing that people are paying for games and virtual items. The real money gaming space itself has become very, very big. And it's sort of like what China was 10, 12 years ago. You know, the virtual economy business model in China has been deployed for 20 years, even in the early stages. And the ad business model in China has just come up in the last 6, 7 years, led by people like ByteDance. So if payments become seamless and you're sitting at home where the offline infrastructure is so poor and you have pocket money, where are you going to spend it? Not in the offline world, in the online world, but only if you have things of value in the online world. And I'll give you a small example. You know, India has something called the NCCS, the New Consumer Classification System, that classifies families into E1, A2, E3, B1, B2, B3. And we spend time with the users talking to them all the time. And even people who are at the B3 level in the 18-24 segment, at the lowest income level, have 1,000 rupees a month to spend. The big question is, where do they spend that money? And as a business, can we take $1 a month from a user at big scale? And $1 a month is about 70 rupees, which is 7% of someone's monthly.
That might be a big ask to begin with.
70 rupees, 7% of someone's 1,000 rupee income spend is not a lot to ask. The question is, can we build the right product?
Right.
Can we build something of value? If you build something of value, the 7% becomes a lot easier. And this is at the bottom level. If you go higher, of course, that 70 rupees is of a much, much bigger denominator. It's more like 1%, 2%. But I'm painting an extreme scenario. Even at a B3 level, for someone spending 1,000 rupees a month, will they spend 7, 8, 10% of their spends online on things they value? And I can tell you, by the way, today from our research, we can see that people are spending at least 15, 20% of their monthly spend, even in that segment, on online things. Video, music, education, games, dating is becoming this new thing people are paying for. So the transition's happening. And people always overestimate what happens in the short term, and they always underestimate what happens long term. And these curves are not linear. They tend to be exponential.